Alright, so welcome to the false swing cut. So this is just a simple way, as described in the title, of doing a false swing cut, right? So generally you need a surface to do this, but there is a less aesthetic way of doing it in the hands, but I wouldn't really recommend doing it, but obviously I'll still present it in this video. The move itself might be very simple, but in my opinion, it's probably one of the best false cuts out there, and you'll see why. But also, if you don't know how to do the swing cut yet, you'll see like the info card pop up somewhere here. I don't know how technology works, so it'll pop up. But yeah, if you don't know how to do a swing cut, you should probably watch it. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the history behind this move. So, fairly straightforward history. I know, finally. I love my straightforward history. So, this move is generally attributed to a magician named Bobby Bernard, who has been performing it within his 50-year-long career as a magician. So, it really hasn't been published throughout his career until someone by the name of Roberto Giobbi published it in, as you can probably guess, Card College Volume 1 back in 1995. So I would say it's a pretty recent publication, especially because Bobby Bernard performed it for like 50 years beforehand. And in the Card College Volume 1, it was actually published under the name of False Swing Cut, which is the title of this video. But generally nowadays, because there's like a million other like false swing cuts out there and whatnot, to make our lives easier, we just call this the Bobby Bernard false cut. So that's basically just the history behind it. It's so straightforward, it's so simple, and you love to see it. Now let's get into the basic mechanics of the false swing cut. So these are very simple mechanics. If you can do a swing cut, you'll be able to pick this up instantly. So the mechanics of this move are, you basically just execute a swing cut for about like half of the deck. So you just execute a swing cut, and then you just grab it in your other hand, just like you would a normal swing cut. Now, what you're going to do is that you're just going to tilt your left wrist so the top packet is now perpendicular with the ground, like so, okay? Now you're going to tap the left long edge of this packet against the top of the left hand packet, like so. So you're just going to tap this part against this top card, okay? So this is done for two purposes. So there is a delay between the swing cut and then the table cut. The other reason why we actually do that is that it actually serves as a covering action. This is a squaring motion. So this serves as a sort of like, yeah, just a general covering action for the move. So those are the two purposes as to why you would actually do this tap. So after you do this squaring motion, you're going to table the packet in your right hand first. You're going to put it down, and then you're going to untwist your left hand, and you're going to grab the remaining packet in the right hand bill grip, and you're just going to place it on top of this packet, like so. All right? And you're just going to square everything up, but you're actually just putting the two packets back to the original position. So if we actually take a look, if we have our ace of spades on top of the deck, if we execute the swing cut, and then you tilt your hand, give it a tap, you place it down on the table, and then you complete the cut. All right, so it looks really stupid with an exposed card, but I can assure you that if you did it with no exposed card, it looks really good. So just to break it down to you in terms of context as to why this actually works, is that when you do a swing cut, you're actually exchanging both packets, but then when you do the table cut, you're just placing them back to the original position, so nothing ever happens to the packets. So this is a true full deck false cut, okay? So there is a way for you to do this move in the hands. I'm just not a big fan of it because it just doesn't look as nice or clean. So it's going to be the exact same thing as, the original false swing cut. The only difference is that after you do the tap, what you're just going to do is that you're just going to clip this packet by the upper left corner in between of your index and your thumb, like so. And you're just going to do an overcut. So basically, you're just going to slip this packet underneath of this packet over here. So this packet goes on top, and you square everything up, like so. So it should look like this, right? Which, again, it doesn't look as aesthetic as the tabled version, but it is an option if you want to use it. And there we go. All right, so that is the In the Hands Bobby Bernard false cut. Now, one thing in particular that I'm not necessarily fond of regarding this move is that there's a squaring action, except that the cards are already square when you do the move. So if you take a look at most people's handlings of the move, when you do the squaring action, both packets are already squared up, which makes no sense. So why would you need a squaring action when both packets are already squared up? That seems redundant and doesn't make sense. So an easy way for you to actually just add a layer to this move is that you just do it with a messy deck, right? And the way that you just do a messy deck is that you just do a spread. Oh, that was a dribble. But if you do a dribble or you do a spread, right, you end up with a messy deck. So now when you do the swing cut and you do the square motion, now there's more of a justification. I don't know why I butchered that word. There's more of a justification as to why there's a squaring motion, right? It's a small little detail, but I think it looks so much better, right? Because now they can visually see both packets actually being squared together. You have this messy packet over here, and then they can see everything just, whoops, that was messed up. But you can see everything just being tapped together, so then they're square again. Versus you have this squared up deck, you tap the packets for no reason, and then they end up square, right? So now it just looks so much better if you have an actual squaring motion, right? So I believe that Michael Close also has a touch that's similar to this one, yeah. But yeah, as long as you have a messy deck, so you can do a spring if you want, you can do a dribble, you can do a spread. It doesn't really matter as long as you end up with whatever, and then you just do a square motion. And then that completes the false swing cut. And it's just a very small touch, which I think makes all the difference. Now the fun thing they can actually do with this move is actually a force. So the force card starts on top of the deck, and it's just going to work the exact same way as the normal one. The only difference is you're going to start off in a riffle. You're going to ask the person to say stop. So here, in this case, they say stop over here. All right. And now you're just going to execute your swing cut. You're going to give it a tap. You're going to table this packet over here. And now you're just going to separate the left hand from the table packet like so. And it's going to display it. All right. You can display it by just turning over the top card, or you can just display it like so. All right, so it's a relatively bold force, but I mean, if you can get away with the false swing cut, you can probably get away with this, right? So to recap, riffle, swing cut, tap, and then just display this card like so, okay? And yeah, you can just square everything up again, and yeah, you basically just forced the top card of the deck, okay? But because this is a force and a false swing cut, you can also use this as an ace cutting routine. So if you have all 4 aces on top of the deck for whatever reason, let's say you do this, right? So you have all 4 aces on top of the deck, like so, and you're just pretending to actually just cut to different locations of the deck, right? But because you're doing basically a force and a false swing cut every single time, this makes it look like it's a genuine production of the 4 cards, right? So that is just another application of the Bobby Bernard swing cut, or false cut, sorry. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a dumb idea. I wouldn't really use this, but again, I'm just giving options up there. And yeah, that's just a couple of fun applications for the Bobby Bernard false cut. Now, if you're interested in the Bobby Bernard false cut or any other moves of the same genre, as in like false cuts or whatever, you can look at these next resources, which are Card College Volume 1 by Roberto Giobbi, Paradigm Shift by Michael Close, Less is More by Ben Earl, it's described as tabled false cut, but sometimes it's written as table false cut, so I'm just gonna call it tabled false cut. So Tabled False Cut by Andrew Frost, All In by Alan Ackerman, Mr. Jennings Takes It Easy by Richard Kaufman. And yeah, I mean, just those resources alone can take you like months and years to finish. So yeah, have fun with all of those. And yeah, that's those are some more resources for false cuts and false swing cuts. And that's the Bobby Bernard false cut. Yeah, it's a very simple move, but it's such a good move, right? It's so casual, so simple, and I think just the combination of just how disarming it is and how simple and casual it is makes it probably one of the best false swing cuts out there, right? Because I remember that I was jamming with a friend and they weren't familiar with this move, so I was like, oh yeah, this is have you seen this before? And they're like, is that just a cut? I'm like, no, that is actually false. So I had to redo it a couple times, and they're like, oh, that's what's happening. So this is a very, like, even if they, like, that was in the context of a jam. Like, I wouldn't just go up to a person and say, ah, yeah, this is a false cut. But even if the other person knows that this is a false cut, it's still extremely disarming. And I think that's probably one of the best traits of this move. And so, yeah. So treat it well. You'll start to realize that refined, simple moves will always look better than probably like unrefined, difficult moves. And I think that this fits under the category of very refined, very simple move, and that's why I love it so much. So treat it well, and that is the Bobby Bernard false cut. But that'll be it for me today. Stay healthy, stay safe. I cracked my knuckle, ow, and yeah, see you guys on the next video.